So much for the Trump bump, at least when it comes to Twitter. Despite being one of President Trump's main means of communicating with Americans, the social media company posted its 10th straight quarterly of slow revenue growth. So if Donald Trump, who some call the Twitterer-in-chief, can't jumpstart Twitter's numbers, who can? Here with us to discuss is WSJ Ahead of the Tape columnist Stephen Russolillo. Stephen, thanks for being here. I mean, some media companies would kill to have the kind of exposure President Trump has been giving them.
Oh, it's true, yeah. And Twitter has more than 300 million monthly active users. I mean, and all eyes are on this platform now, watching each and every tweet that the president is putting out there. Yet it's still not enough for Twitter to boost their numbers and to give this stock a much-needed rise here.
Was stock down, what, almost like 10%?
Almost 10%, yeah. Another big drop. And, you know, this is a thing that we've seen on repeat when it comes to Twitter. Their numbers come out, the stock goes down. This is now their 13th earnings report as a public company. Stock has dropped after 10 of them, averaging about a 10% drop swing.
But what about user growth? Aren't they growing?
So they are. They're not growing as much as they used to, and they're not making as much money off each person that's on Twitter as much as the market would like. And that's really the real issue here, is that this company was growing much, much faster when it went public. As you mentioned, this is their 10th straight quarter of slowing revenue growth. So they just can't seem to keep the growth engine going as much as people would like.
There were great hopes, though, pinned on this new association with the NFL, correct? And live streaming of sports on Twitter. I know it's a relatively new experiment, but how is that going for them?
So, as you said, it hasn't moved the needle yet for Twitter. And so one of the key things here is that not just Twitter, but a lot of social media companies like Facebook, like Snap, are pinning their future growth and their hopes on video and particularly live video. And so a deal with the NFL is a great way for Twitter to gain this kind of exposure. The problem is that it's just not prompting more people who haven't been on Twitter to then join Twitter to watch NFL games. And so it's early days still when it comes to the NFL deal, but that's the problem that we've seen thus far.
So it looks bleak, but there are still some on Wall Street who are holding out hope, right?
Well, the thinking here is that it will be bought eventually, and that, you know, we saw this last year with all the rumors, whether it be Google or Salesforce or Disney. There's a number of companies out there that have been rumored to be interested in Twitter. The problem is that when you see the stock keep going down 10% after each earnings report, you think to yourself, why would I buy it now when the stock is around 16 when maybe I can get it when it's at 10 or even single digits? So you
think the suitors are just waiting on the side to see how low the price will go?
I think that's part of the game here. And, you know, because there's still a lot of people that are on Twitter, 319 million monthly active users. I mean, that's about double what Snap has right now. I mean, clearly it's not as much as Facebook, but it's still a big audience nonetheless, and there's something that can be done with that.
And again, going back to the Donald Trump use of Twitter, one analyst likened it to Franklin D. Roosevelt's fireside chat.
Yeah. And look, I think it's an interesting analogy because that really FDR revolutionized how the president of the United States can communicate with the public. And so by using these fireside chats with radio, it only helped propel the popularity of radio.
Although it's worth noting it did not help RCA stock.
So RCA, the biggest radio manufacturer at the time, their stock peaked in 1929, along with a lot of other stocks before the Great Depression. It didn't recover until the mid-1960s, well after the broad market had fully recovered from the Depression. So just because you have a great marketing engine here and something where there's a lot of attention focused on it, doesn't necessarily mean it's a great business model. And I think that's the problem that people are looking at.
And certainly there are a lot of social media machines competing for people's attention right now.
Exactly.
So Twitter is up against some fierce
It's up against a lot. You have Snap's IPO that's probably coming next month. And so there's just so much attention focused on this space. And it's not easy to be a social media company right now. And Twitter's learning that.
Not easy at all. Stephen Russolillo, thank you so much for being with us.